July 24, 2018. Off San Juan Island, Washington, an orca gives birth. The calf survives 20 minutes. Then it dies. What happens next gets documented for 17 straight days. The mother is known to researchers as J35, part of a pod that has been studied and named individually since the 1970s. She won't let the body sink. She holds it up with her forehead. Every time it slips, she dives to get it back. Over 1,000 miles of open water, no rest. Barely feeding. Biologists who have tracked this population for decades have never seen anything like it, not even close. Boats follow her at a distance so they don't disturb her. Researchers take shifts around the clock, trading off so the observation never stops. The question isn't whether she's suffering. The question is what that word even means for a brain that isn't ours. Start with what an orca's brain contains. It has spindle neurons, the same specialized cells found in humans, in great apes, in elephants. Cells linked to empathy, to rapid social decision-making. For decades, scientists assumed only primates had them. Finding them in whales forced a rethink. This isn't proof of grief, not in the human sense, but it's the architecture that kind of processing would need. Elephants are the most studied case. Decades of observation in Amboseli, Kenya. Same family lines, tracked since the 1970s. Herds have been recorded stopping near a dead member, sometimes for days, standing guard, blocking scavengers, vultures circling, kept at a distance. Elephants touch the bones with their trunk, the most sensitive organ they have, 40,000 muscles, nerve endings as dense as human fingertips. This isn't accidental contact. Elephants have been recorded returning years later to the exact spot where a companion died, touching the same bleached bones. In one case, a matriarch stood over her mother's skeleton, touched every bone individually. Elephants sometimes linger over remains of animals they knew and walk past unrelated bones without a second look. What that recognition triggers inside them, nobody knows. Giraffes rarely get documented this closely. Calf deaths in the wild are hard to witness. But in 2010, researchers in Kenya got lucky. A giraffe mother stood over her dead calf for 4 straight days, nudging the body, chasing off vultures, barely eating. Other giraffes came close, stood nearby, then moved on. She stayed. There's no survival reason for this, no biological upside to guarding a body that long. It happened anyway, on camera, for 4 full days. Gombe National Park, Tanzania. Jane Goodall's research site, a young chimpanzee named Flint, unusually close to his mother, Flo, long past the age most chimps go independent. Flo died in 1972. Flint stopped eating, withdrew from the group, kept returning to where she died. Within weeks, Flint was dead too. Goodall's field notes called it grief. She used the word carefully, even then. Other researchers have documented chimp mothers carrying dead infants, sometimes for weeks, refusing to put the body down, even as it decomposed. In several recorded cases, mothers continued grooming the infant's body long after death, a behavior with no clear practical function. Some researchers see this as the mother failing to update her understanding that the infant is gone. Others see it as something closer to reluctance. The two interpretations aren't mutually exclusive, and nobody has found a way to test which one is closer to the truth. Crows are a stranger case. Bird brains share almost nothing with mammal brains. Researcher John Marsluff ran an experiment at the University of Washington. Wild crows were shown a dead crow, handled by a person in a distinctive mask. The crows sounded alarm calls, gathered others, sometimes dozens at once. For weeks after, they avoided that mask, even in a completely different location. Researchers call it a long-term alarm response. The word grief never appears in the papers, but an animal that memorizes a face, links it to a death, and passes that warning to crows who weren't even there. That's processing far beyond reflex. Magpies gave researchers a messier case. In 2009, a paper described magpies gathering around a dead bird, laying blades of grass near the body. The authors called it a funeral. Other scientists pushed back hard, said it looked more like curiosity than mourning. Magpies investigate anything unfamiliar. The debate was never settled. Wolves show something researchers didn't expect either in Yellowstone. Biologists tracking collared wolf packs have documented a shift in behavior after the death of a pack member, especially an alpha. Surviving wolves have been recorded howling more frequently for days afterward. visiting the site of death repeatedly. Some packs went quiet for a period, reducing hunting activity before slowly returning to normal patterns. One well-documented case involved an aging alpha female in Yellowstone's Lamar Valley. After she died of natural causes, her pack was recorded returning to the spot for over a week, howling at dusk each time. Researchers hesitate to call this mourning. Wolves are highly social animals with complex hierarchies, and a disruption at the top of that hierarchy has real consequences for the pack's survival. Some of the behavior could simply be reorganization, but the howling pattern, researchers noted, didn't match anything typically associated with territorial or hunting behavior. It looked, by every available measure, like something else. Hippos add another strange data point. In 2009, researchers in Kenya watched a herd of hippos surround the body of a young hippo killed by a crocodile. They didn't leave. For hours, adult hippos took turns nudging the corpse, pushing it gently toward shore. Some stood guard nearby, facing outward, the same defensive posture they use against predators. Crocodiles waiting nearby didn't approach. Researchers noted the herd showed no interest in feeding or resting nearby, activities hippos normally prioritize. They simply stayed. Eventually, as night fell, the herd moved on. No one has a clean explanation for why a species with no known history of this behavior would suddenly organize around a single body for hours. Dolphins do something close to what J35 did off Greece in the Mediterranean. Mothers have been filmed carrying dead calves at the surface. For days, sometimes other pod members take turns holding the calf up. In one case off Turkey, a mother carried her dead calf for over a week. She grew visibly thin. Other pod members occasionally circled nearby, seemingly reluctant to leave her alone with the body. Researchers observing similar cases in the Mediterranean have noted that mothers in this state often stop socializing normally with the rest of the pod, even as the pod stays close by. Then, finally, she let go. Dogs complicate things further. They live in constant contact with humans. That makes it hard to separate real loss from simple confusion. Still, cases pile up. Dogs who lost a companion eat less, sleep worse, return again and again to where that companion used to sit. One widely reported case, a dog in Thailand, visited its owner's grave daily, for months. Skeptics say it's about scent and routine, not emotion. Whether dogs feel anything like grief is still an open question. Scientists studying all of this agree on one thing. Reacting to death isn't the same as understanding it. Understanding that it's permanent. Projecting our own feelings onto these animals is the real risk. Even with spindle neurons, even with complex social brains, they are still not us. That caution shows up in every serious paper on the subject, even the ones describing the most striking behavior. J35 finally let go of her calf. 17 days after it died, researchers say she went back to normal within weeks, hunting again, swimming with her pod, appearing, from the outside, completely unremarkable. What happened inside her during those 17 days, nobody can say. The tools keep improving, though. Neural imaging gets sharper every year. Long-term tracking of elephants, orcas, and primates keeps getting more precise, with some research groups now following the same animal families across multiple generations. Some of what's uncertain now will get clearer eventually. But right now, the people who study this most closely, the ones who've spent entire careers watching elephants return to old bones and orcas carry their dead across open ocean, don't have an answer. They leave the question open. The animals don't answer.